My name is Joël Lejean from RTL France, Radio Television. I have just two short questions. What do you think of the announcement of yesterday by TEPCO that they are going to eventually resolve problems about radioactivity between 3 and 9 months? And if I may, and if David allow me, I'd like to ask you as a governor precisely, how do the local prefectures, villages, cities and citizens have benefited of the generosity of the nuclear industry? Could you give us some examples, some precise data about how you were encouraged to accept the nuclear power plant on your territories, not only for your prefectures but others? Thank you.
最初の質問でございますが、昨日の発表についてどう思うかということでございます。私は実は避難所を回っております。私が言えるのは、できるだけ早く皆さんの町に帰って新しい町づくりをしようねと、それしか今言えない状況です。それ言うのが精一杯でございます。ですから何月何日にある程度ゴールが見えたということは、今の避難民の方にとっては非常に気持ちがですね、ある程度言い悪いは別にしまして、一つの目標ができたような気持ちであろうということです。私はそう言ってますけれども、しかしとにかく一日も早く帰るようにしたいというのが本当に私の気持ちでございます。それから地元に対しての
The first question was regarding my reaction to the announcement made by TEPCO yesterday. I would like to tell you that I've been visiting these evacuation centers almost on a daily basis, and I can tell you that the reactions of the people that I meet are that they want to go back to their homes as quickly as possible. And I believe that at present that is their burning goal. And as a result of the fact that at least, although it was a very distant goal, the fact that they were given a day, a month and a day when they might possibly be able to return is something that probably is helpful to them, something that they welcome. Having said this again, I cannot reiterate enough just how desperately these people want to return to their homes.
あまり長く質問に答えないように指示されてるんですが、一つだけ申し上げますと、彼らは、避難民は、さあ、体育館に集まれと、何の状況も説明もなく、体育館に集まれと、町長から言われて集まりました。さあ、これからバスで避難するよということで、隣の村に避難しました。自動車で来た方は自動車で行きましたけども、自動車はその村まで全部つながったそうです。そしてそこで何日間か避難しましたが、今度は次の避難所に行けと言われまして、次の避難所で一つの例だけ申し上げますと、私が会った私と同年代の人は2畳1坪ですから、2畳のところに家族5人で今いるんだよと。非常に幸せだよと、その前の避難所ではバラバラだったそうです。家族5人でいることの幸せ、そういうことを私に言っておりました。それから、失礼。
I've been instructed not to speak too long, but I do want to tell you a little bit about some of the experiences that I've had visiting these evacuation centers. When I speak with the people there, they tell me that they have had no prior warning before they are moved from center to center. For example, they are told on one day to suddenly assemble at the nearest gymnasium. They are given a notice by the mayor. Once they assemble at the gymnasium, they are told, we're now going to put you into buses and we're going to move you to the next town. People who came in cars had no choice but to follow the buses in their cars. There was apparently a line of cars leading to the next town. They stay there several days, and then several days later they are again told we're moving, again with no advance warning, and they're moved again. I could go on and on about this, but I would like to just give one specific example. I was speaking with a gentleman about my age, and he was saying to me, we're very happy with the evacuation center we're in now because the 5 of us, our family, were able to live in the same shared space. And the shared space that they had was the size of 2 tatami mats, which would be about the size of 2 of these tables. And he said, we're very, very happy because in the past evacuation centers that we've been in, the 5 of us have been split up, and at least we're together.
それから地元に対しての貢献でございますが、私、知事に就任して3年目でございましたが、 ある町からある町で増設の決議をいたしました。原子力が2つあればもうその町は永久に繁栄するんだろうというのが私のざっくばらんな認識でありました。しかし2つの原発を増設を決議を町の議会がいたしました。でその町が今どうなっているかといいますと、30年間は幸い人口も増え、そして農業はなくなりましたが、建設業にいわゆる原発関連の企業に行きました。30年後の去年一昨年ですか、町長の給料が出せなくて、ゼロになりました。もっと正確に言うと、健康保険料とか年金を町長は払わなければならないので、その分は町で面倒を見て5万円の給料が出ましたが、実質手取りはゼロでありました。私は昨年12月、今原発を作ろうとしている山口県に行ってそのお話をしました。皆さんが判断してくださいと。30年間はそういう状況に非常に人も増えます。しかし30年後は残念ながら町長の給料が出せないということは、財政的にはその町は福島県で一番60の市町村のうち一番ピリになっておりました。最後の町になっておりました。ちょっといいですか。はい。
In regard to your second question, which was about what are some of the benefits that these local governments receive as a result of accepting nuclear power plants, actually, I was first involved in these decisions when I was serving in my third year as governor of Fukushima. A small town had accepted the building of 2 nuclear reactors in their area, and the town council had voted on it and had passed the resolution. I listened to the mayor and I listened to the explanations of the people involved, and I received the impression that once this town accepted these nuclear power plants, 2 nuclear power plants, they would be prosperous forever and ever. Having said this, however, actually it was 30 years is probably about the amount of time that you can expect some kind of prosperity. 30 years has passed, and in fact 2 years ago I visited the town again. I spoke with the mayor, and this was again exactly 30 years after the power plants had been built. The town's finances were in a shambles, so much so that the mayor's salary had to be cut. He received 0 yen in salary. To be very, very surprised, the town people felt very sorry for him. He, after all, did have to pay his social security premiums and his health insurance premiums, and so they gave him enough money to pay for those payments, which was about 50,000 yen. But in terms of actual salary, spending money, discretionary income, he had absolutely nothing at all. He said, yes, for 30 years things were really good. In the beginning, the population increased. Agriculture basically disappeared, but there was a great deal of construction work related to the nuclear power plants. And so people came. It was a thriving town. But 30 years from that point, we have no money left. Actually, I'm telling you this story. I told the same story last year to a group of people in Yamaguchi Prefecture because they also are considering accepting the building of nuclear power plants. And I told them that it is up to you. I cannot decide for you, but this is the reality. Yes, you will be prosperous. You will receive subsidies, etc., and perhaps increased population, increased construction work for maybe a maximum of 30 years. But after that, you will find that not even your mayor will be able to receive a salary.
私の政治的な理念、テーマの一つに世代間の共生というのがあります。
I would also like to point out that this town that I mentioned earlier is ranked 60th of the 60 local autonomous cities and towns in Fukushima Prefecture in terms of prosperity. In fact, they are the most poor principality in Fukushima Prefecture. I would like to move on. In regard to my belief as a politician, I feel very, very strongly that as a politician, we have a responsibility as a person. We have a responsibility to make sure that we share prosperity with successive generations.
その地区はですね、瀬戸内海のクジラもおり、素晴らしい自然があるところですが、残念ながらそういう生物多様性はなくなる。しかし30年間は人口が増えて活性化します。 しかし次の世代は分かりませんよ、世代間の共生はできないですよということで、判断は皆さんに任せました。
I explained to the people in Yamaguchi Prefecture that this town that I was speaking of was located near. I'm sorry, excuse me. The people in Yamaguchi Prefecture that I was speaking to, they were located in a coastal region on the inland sea of Japan, a very, very beautiful area filled with beautiful, lush natural surroundings. They originally had whales, and they did have some whaling industry for some time, but this kind of biodiversity is no longer that prevalent in this area. I told them, yes, I know you're looking to the future, looking for potential opportunities, and yes, if you take on a reactor plant, you may find that the population will grow and business will boom and the economy will thrive for some 30 years or so. But as I said, my political belief is that we have a responsibility to share wealth and prosperity with successive generations. 30 years from now, what will happen to the next generation? I cannot say. You have to make a choice.
It's no accident that the power plants are in very poor prefectures. And like in Fukushima or in Niigata, the biggest power plant in the world is in Mr. Tanaka's hometown. Now, we know that politicians have been fighting to get power plants. In Fukushima, I was, among others, Watanabe Kozo. Do you think they were fooled, or do you think they were corrupted? Thank you.
原発を福島県に建設する頃はアトムという鉄腕アトムという漫画の本がありましたように原子力というものはあるいは原子関係というのは非常に夢の世界だったと思います。まだ皆さんその危険性やらその他ですね理解しない時代であったと思います。ですから多分その当時私は政治状況よく分かりませんが渡辺幸三先生は多分その頃はまだ政治家になってなかったと思いますがそれは質問に名前が出ましたんで申し上げますがそういう意味では、そういう時代であったということが一つの要因であり特に過疎地域にとっては大変な宝物をいただくという認識があったのではないかと私の想像でございますが思います。
I would like to remind you that when the Fukushima nuclear power plant was built, this was an age when there was a very, very famous comic book that was popular. It was called Atom Boy or Tetsuwan Atom. It was a time when people looked toward nuclear energy or anything nuclear as a wave of the future. They looked upon anything nuclear as being something full of dreams and potential and something that they regarded with great hopes. People at that time did not have an awareness of the potential dangers that were inherent in nuclear power plants. So I, of course, don't understand all of the details about the political situation at that time. I believe, though, at that time, Mr. Kozo Watanabe, who you mentioned by name, so I will refer to him, was probably not even a politician yet. What I'm trying to say is that I think that was the age in which they lived. They really thought it was a positive thing, and especially for, as you've pointed out, very, very sparsely populated, poor prefectures, the being able to bring a power plant to your region was considered was equivalent to being able to bring a great treasure to our homeland.
佐藤さんが知事をお辞めになったいきさつですが、収賄事件だったと思います。そしてその収賄事件がフレームアップされたものであるというふうに理解しておりますが、その原発との関係を簡潔に私どもにもう一度説明していただけませんでしょうか。
I'm Mrs. Sato from German TV. I'd like to ask you about the events that led to your resigning as governor. You were led to resign because you were involved in a bribery case. My understanding is that you were probably framed for this. Could you please tell us in detail, very concisely, whether this had anything to do with your opposition to nuclear power plants?